Welcome back, guys. I am so excited because I'm starting to feel Christmas in my bones. It's that time of year again where all those amazing goodies we've been waiting for an entire year starts to resurface. So while this season is about certain flavors like cinnamon and the different spices and peppermint, I'm going to be focusing more on the visual aspect of this holiday. So get ready to get dragged to church with my stained glass jelly. To start our first step, it's almost embarrassingly easy. So all I have here is about 2 cups of boiling water. And what we're gonna do is take it off the stove and pour it into this huge beer mug. And basically, all I'm doing is I'm following the instructions on this pack. And that's about it, really. So we take the jello, or jelly, and put it in the mug. You could do this over the stove as well, but this way I feel I have a bit more control over the water and most of it not evaporating. So I have exactly the volume I need. And we give it a good stir. And that's about it. So the only thing is, you need to stir it a bit more than you think, because if you just give it a couple of twirls and stop there, you're gonna have gelatin and little bits of coloring and so forth just settle at the bottom. That's not something you want. So take your time, stir this around, and once you're done with this, we're gonna pop it in the fridge and just honestly keep repeating this for as many colors as you want. So I'm gonna be using 4 today. So my first color is done. I'm gonna make 3 more, and this baby is going to go in the fridge, and I'll see you tomorrow. I don't know what it is about jelly, but it has this magical ability to make anyone feel like a child again in an instant. So this is what we made yesterday, and as you can see, it's set quite firm, and so have these. So to carry on, what we need to do is quickly give them a couple of slices into discs. If you put them in mugs, it might be a square if you put it in a square dish, but whatever it is, slice them into almost centimeter thick pieces, and we're gonna, after that, quickly cube them up. And we're gonna save these because we're gonna be using these immediately. And as you can see, I mean, the colors are just amazing. So work your way through it real quick. You don't want to spend too much time fiddling around with these because they're going to start melting. So be as fast as you can without chopping your fingers off. And I'm going to show you how I actually got that out of the mug in the first place here in a second. So see, it takes very little time. Yeah. I like them in sharp cubes, honestly. I think it really makes a nice visual impact, and they're just going everywhere. This is the final dish we're gonna assemble everything in. I'm gonna put the first layer already. And now, this is basically what I did. I use my finger and go all the way to the bottom, slowly, gently. Of course, wash your hands first. But really, your fingers are probably gentler than most utensils you have in the kitchen. So this is gonna, there you go, plop right out. And don't worry if there's a little bit left at the bottom, you can scoop that right back out. So do the same thing all over again. Yeah, that's fine. And the trick, I believe, is to pick really vibrant colors that are in the opposite ends of the spectrum from each other so that they contrast, especially to get this exact look that we're making today. But really, this doesn't need to be a Christmas dish. This could feature at any of the parties that you might throw for your kids or for even your adult friends. And let's say you have a color theme and you could make this match whatever that theme is. And it could be just one color. It doesn't need to be kaleidoscopic like it is here. It could be two. I mean, honestly, if you want this to be more traditional for Christmas, it could be red and green. But I really like this whole effect of it being like a stained glass window in a church. Because my memories of Christmas is sitting at Mass and hearing the amazing chorales of, you know, children. Because in our high school, we have this amazing choral group. And every year in December, I go for it. And I have such fond memories of it. And this takes me right back there. And chop, chop, chop. We just have one color left. So if you get everything done before it starts to melt, honestly, clean up is a breeze. So let's not waste any more time on this. And honestly, for this dessert, this is about the most work you have to do, period. So down to our final Santa Claus red. Finger time. And there we go. See, I really do love traditional jelly. I know people really have taken to agar-agar and seaweed jellies and so forth, but it doesn't have the same bounce and the wiggle and the jiggle that these guys do. And honestly, that is almost all the fun of a jelly. And that's done. So onwards. Basically, what we need to do now is to layer this really quickly, just alternating the different colors. Just go crazy. You just don't want any one color to concentrate in one area, so just alternate. And oh, this is so much fun. I'll get in so much trouble at home for this because everybody at home are neat freaks. Like they see me dropping jellies everywhere like this. But it's not the end of the world. We can clean it up. There we go. And if you have any left over, don't worry. You know what to do with those. So yeah, I think the flavors I got were apple, orange, strawberry, and what is that? Blackcurrant, I think. And that's it. So you can see, like I said, there are a few peeking up out at the top. That's fine. We need to put this right back in the fridge because you don't want this melting and turning into sludge. So that's what I'm going to do. See you in a bit. Now, coming to our final leg of grunt work, we're going to use 2 tablespoons of powdered gelatin. You could use gelatin sheets, but honestly, they're almost next to impossible to find here in Sri Lanka. So I've always used this, and well, it works quite well for me. So, well, if I can get it open. So, 2 tablespoons. And we're going to add almost equal parts water. It doesn't need to be warm, just room temperature is fine. And we're going to let that sit there just for a little bit. And in the meanwhile, we're going to get our base that's going to kind of hold all our jelly together on the way. For that, we're going to use a small tin of condensed milk. We're going to empty it straight to our pan. Try and get everything out. Using the same tin, we're going to measure out 2 quantities of full cream milk. Now, if you like, you can add a couple of teaspoons of vanilla into this. I'm not gonna bother today. It's not critical. And once you have it all in the pan, go ahead and turn your stove on to like a medium high and keep gently stirring it. Once you see the whole mixture start to steam ever so slightly, that's when we're going to add our gelatin. So what we've done with the gelatin is by adding water beforehand, we've bloomed it, essentially activated the gelatin. And what that does is, it's going to help dissolve the gelatin evenly in your mixture. Now trust me, I've been tempted to skip this step and I've given in. Trust me, I've hated myself, and so will you if you do. So take the time to do this. It really is important. Or otherwise, let's say you forgot it and you just added the gelatin in here, just strain it out if there are lumps of gelatin. So don't worry, if something goes wrong, there is always an easy fix. Just never stress in the kitchen. The world's never coming to an end just because something burns or something goes slightly ever so wrong. Just enjoy the process. That's my advice to you. So as you can see, this mixture is now steaming, but not boiling. So that's the perfect time to add our gelatin. And you'll see it's become this gunky mass. But that's fine. Basically, you give it a couple of more stirs, and this is gonna dissolve right in. And your work is done. This is completely and evenly dissolved now. All we're going to do is switch off our stove, which I've already done, and leave it for about an hour or two to come completely to room temperature. Because like I said, we're not making rainbow soup. It's got to be jelly. So be patient. We'll be right back. So guys, our base is now cooled. Time to finish this puppy up. So wait, you know what? If you haven't already realized, I'm quite messy. So maybe we should have some safety in place. I highly recommend you do this too, because there's a good chance this is gonna spill over, so why take the risk, eh? So gently pour this in, kind of moving back and forth, and don't worry, it's gonna ooze through all the cracks and fill this in. Yeah, so go slow, because it takes a little bit of time to get to the bottom. And yeah, that looks like it's done. So you might have a little bit of this left over. Don't worry, just go ahead, chill it. What you can do is make another dessert out of it. You can chop it up and eat it with some fresh fruit or some berries. So it's not gonna go to waste. But we have all we need for this. So this goes back, guess where, in the fridge. But before we do, make sure everything is clean. Because once this sets, that's gonna be a little bit of a hard clean up. So do whatever you need to do now. As you can see, we filled it almost right up to the brim. That's where you need this set. And see you in a bit. It's done, it's done, it's done. What we have to do now is trim off a bit off the top, because remember there are bits sticking out. So now we're gonna try and make this a little bit flatter, because this is going to be the bottom of our dessert. And just put all the extras somewhere else. And that's good enough. And this needs to go in a warm water bath. It's not quite high enough. Ideally, you would want it to come all the way up here. But what we're gonna do is try and loosen it up on the sides a little bit. I'm not gonna use my finger now, although I did before. Just be very gentle, because you want to try and have a smooth finish when you're done. So don't cut into the jelly, just run it around gently. And actually, what might work better is probably the end of a spoon. So I'm gonna switch to that. And once we've gone across both lengths, let's get the edges over here. that should be just about right. So yeah, you don't have to leave it too long because this starts melting quite quickly. So I'm going to use a chopping board to present this because I'm going to serve this up immediately, and I have it ready here. So what we need to do is clean off your bowl because you don't want any water, and you're not going to flip this onto the board. You're going to put the board on it first, and I'm going to make sure it's heavier onto one side because when I start to slice it, I'm going to leave room for it to lay on the board itself. So there we go, and flip. Now this might be a bit nerve-wracking, and I may not have let it. Oh no, it's coming off. And this is the magic that the water does. For a second I thought I didn't have it in there long enough, but this is perfect and it's coming off like a charm. There we go. And if you think this looks impressive now, look at this. Tell me that that does not look like a church window. So this is how I like to serve it in loaf form, but honestly, you could put it in a bowl, you don't have to cut it, you could scoop it out. It's really up to you. It looks impressive no matter how you serve it. So, guess what I'm gonna do? I am going to dig in. What can I say? It's jelly, what's not to love? Try this out at home. I promise you everyone will be thanking you. I'll see you again on another episode of Dishing with Dush. Thanks guys.